Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are grabbing a serious shortcut into a narrative universe that is just, well, it defies any easy description.
It really does.
Our mission is to unpack the source material for the Whiz Kids documentary. And trust me, you are going to need a guide for this one. Forget your simple fantasy tropes. We are looking at a story where high magic collides, violently collides, with this deeply specific, very grounded, and honestly often baffling domestic drama.
And that collision is the perfect way to frame it. This document, it isn't just telling a story about, some magical kids.
Right.
It focuses so intensely on their emotional core. It's all about the complex dynamics of their family and their support structure. We're going to see wizards and paladins who are defined just as much by their personality quirks and their trauma as by any magical powers.
Exactly. So you have these kids with roles like archer and thief, but their primary motivations might be anything from neurodiversity to an unrequited crush or just deep family stress.
Right.
So let's unpack this. We should probably start where the power begins, with the core magical team and their leader.
Right. The central figure is Cody He. He holds the titles of King and Wizard.
Okay, so he's the top dog.
He is the leader, and the sources are very, very clear on this. He is an immensely powerful wizard. He was born with his abilities.
Oh, born with...
Yep. But what's crucial for understanding his whole character is that Cody also has autism.
And his leadership must be fascinating. How does the source detail his wizardry interacting with his neurodiversity? Does it suggest, his unique perspective makes him a stronger leader or weaker?
It seems to frame it as a defining feature, not a detractor at all. It really suggests his perspective gives him this unique strategic insight, and visually the document gives him a lot of weight.
How so?
Well, we see him in these very distinct, powerful outfits. Sometimes it's a traditional gray pointed hat. Other times it's this vivid blue turban with jewels.
So he looks apart.
He is immediately set up as this foundational force, but one who's operating under a very unique personal framework.
Okay, so moving down from the king, we get AJ the paladin. AJ fills the healer role, which, that usually means a lot of responsibility, but he's also the youngest member of the group.
And this is where that contrast you mentioned really starts. He's the stalwart paladin, the healer, yet his defining personal traits are that he's very funny and he loves watching children's shows.
Like what?
Specifically Arthur and other PBS Kids shows. It's this jarring but kind of wonderful blend of high fantasy duty and just absolute youthful innocence.
Then we get to the characters whose personalities seem to dramatically complicate the team dynamic. Let's talk about Clara the Archer. I have to stop you here because the source material does not pull any punches with her character.
It absolutely does not. Clara is the archer of the group, and she's characterized using, extremely raw language. The document specifies that she gets triggered very easily, and her personality is defined by the writers as, and this is a direct quote, a bossy bitch who is controlling.
Wow.
We're just relaying the source material exactly as it's written. It tells you how unpolished and direct this document is, even with the kids.
That's intense.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder why the writers chose such raw language for a child. It immediately sets the stakes for conflict, both internal and external.
It does.
And this brings us straight to Julian, the thief, whose whole motivation is tied directly to Clara.
Right. Julian is the specialist in, acquisition. He always has a dagger, steals the good items from their enemies, but his driving motivation is pure teenage drama.
Let me guess, he's trying to impress her.
Exactly. He's trying to be the cool kid, constantly trying to impress his crush, Clara, the controlling archer.
So the high stakes of magic and thievery are being driven by this profound need to impress a crush. And here's where the plot really locks in. The source says it pays off, right?
It does. It confirms they do end up dating later in the series. So the cool kid act, it actually works.
It connects their fantasy roles to these extremely grounded, relational goals.
Exactly. So we've mapped out the core combat unit, right? High fantasy roles, complicated by these intense personalities. But running this whole operation, it takes more than just magic and daggers. Let's shift gears a bit to the specialized skills and the actual command structure.
First up in that category is Hunter Poole. He's labeled the hacker boy. So he's the tech wizard.
A literal wizard who uses technology. He knows how to hack into any electronics. Personality-wise, he fits that archetype perfectly. Very quiet, stays to himself.
The hood and headphones type.
Always wearing a hood with headphones on. He is the ultra-modern approach to problem-solving in this universe.
Which is a beautiful contrast with the next member, Hunter Dowd.
Hunter Dowd, who is described as the Indian member, represents the old-fashioned way. He's characterized as being very wise, focusing on traditional methods.
You've got this foil to Poole's tech.
It's a fantastic foil. This pairing gives the whiz kids both bleeding edge, tech savvy, and, ancient wisdom. It's a balanced arsenal.
And ruling over this whole team of magic, tech, and tradition is Meadow. She's Cody's older sister, and she holds the title of the boss. But Meadow's personal quirk is, frankly, hilarious.
What's so fascinating here is how the source material grounds this powerful leader in this utterly random modern pop culture reference.
Right.
Meadow develops an obsession with the musician Jelly Roll.
The country singer.
The country musician, yes. This crush is introduced in a specific episode, Season 3, Episode 15, The Gladstone Invasion.
Right.
She does an impression of him, and this fixation just becomes a defining trait.
Wait, a Jelly Roll crush in a high fantasy world run by a wizard and a paladin? That level of specificity is incredible. It really grounds this bizarre universe in our modern, sometimes silly reality.
Precisely. It keeps the whole thing from ever taking itself too seriously. So we've established the youth team, but what truly defines the emotional landscape of this whole story is the adult support system. This is where the documentary dives headfirst into some incredibly heavy domestic drama.
Let's start with Laura. She has two roles for Cody, right? Stepmom and aunt.
Yeah, she's the sister of Cody's real mother, Methindi Sexton. Her key trait is that she's deeply caring, focused entirely on Cody's safety and well-being.
But she's dealing with her own issues.
A profound personal trauma that becomes a huge plot point.
Yeah.
She is infertile. The source details an entire season-long arc around this. It shows her trying to have a baby in Season 4 of the second series, and she does eventually succeed with a surrogate.
That is a massive, incredibly real and heavy plot integrated right into a magical series.
It is, and her stability is sort of the foundation for her husband, Postman James. He's Cody's stepfather. The source describes him as a stressed, middle-aged man.
And his stress is multi-layered.
Very. Not only is he a stepfather in this complex family, but he's the primary caregiver for a group of disabled individuals. The source material calls them the dumb people crew.
Okay.
And he's cared for them for so long that he genuinely considers them his own kids. But the document notes that despite this incredible burden, he became a happy man after he met Laura.
So you see this intense contrast. James is happy, but he's fundamentally stressed. Laura is loving, but she's dealing with infertility. They are the definition of stable but struggling.
And then you throw Liam into the mix.
The ex-boyfriend.
Liam is Laura's ex, and he is relentlessly trying to get back with her, creating this constant tension. And the source material includes a very detailed and frankly complex history for Liam's identity.
Right, and we have to be clear when we're reporting on the source's depiction of this.
Absolutely. We're committed to relaying it exactly. The document describes Liam as a trans woman who was born female and is now male, having recently had surgery to officially become a man.
And Laura's feelings towards him are not positive.
No. The document is very specific. It says Laura's feelings are one of intense annoyance. It states that she doesn't like her and is annoyed with her, using those specific pronouns dictated by the source writers. It just adds another challenging, messy layer to Laura's life.
So a never-ending source of domestic tension in the background of their magical quests. Luckily, Laura has one solid pillar of support in David.
David, her loyal wingman for several years. He's the hardworking, funny, reliable friend we all wish we had, a joy to be around, always willing to defend his friends.
But even David has a backstory.
Even David, the loyal wingman, has this deeply poignant backstory that just highlights the theme of loss in this adult group.
What's his history?
He had previously adopted 8 children.
8. Wow.
8. But due to complications the source doesn't fully explain, he had to give them all back to the original caregiver. So, like Laura, who's struggling with infertility, David is carrying this history of intense commitment, followed by profound loss.
It really establishes that none of the adults surrounding the whiz kids have simple, unburdened lives.
Not at all.
Okay, before we get to our final thoughts, we have to mention the one eccentric outlier who just embodies these strange coping mechanisms in this universe. Patrick.
Oh, Patrick. He is noted to have become quite strange in the newer episodes, and his specific obsession is bizarre.
I think bizarre is putting it lightly.
It certainly ensures he annoys the other characters. He makes out with a doll that resembles his dead girlfriend Fiona.
Right. It's a striking, unsettling detail that just solidifies the documentary's commitment to showcasing trauma in all its forms, no matter how outlandish.
It really does.
So we've gone deep into the structure, the kids, the unbelievably complex adults who support them. What does this massive blending of high fantasy and domestic stress actually tell us about the Whiz Kids documentary?
I think it tells us the core theme isn't really magic, it's the relentless pursuit of stability amid chaos. The document successfully blends these high fantasy archetypes, the wizard, the archer, the thief, with these intense, often painful domestic and personal realities. You have neurodiversity, infertility, complex gender identities, severe caregiving stress, and these trauma-induced coping mechanisms all stacked right on top of a presumed fight against magical evil.
It treats these profound life issues as integral plot points. It gives the whole universe this enormous emotional weight.
It really does.
So this deep dive, it's really offered you that analytical shortcut to understanding the key players and the unique, complicated relationships that drive everything they do. You are now well informed on the core conflicts and personalities within the Whiz Kids documentary.
It's a universe where magic is the backdrop, but almost every action, whether it's the kids or the adults, seems fundamentally shaped by domestic stress or unrequited crushes or personal trauma. The Wizard King and the Paladin are constantly fighting on two fronts, the magical and the relentlessly personal.
And that leaves us with a final provocative thought for you to consider. The document frames itself around this incredible magical power, yet so much of the characters' behavior is shaped by this overwhelming need for balance and stability in their adult support system.
Yeah.
So if the adults supporting them, Postman James, Laura, David, if they can't find peace from their own history and stress, how much of the Whiz Kids' mission is actually shaped by the chaos they're trying to manage at home? What happens when that support system finally breaks? Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're getting into the source material for a really unique animated project.
A really bizarre one, yeah.
It's called the Whiz Kids Documentary. And it's this fascinating blend of like high fantasy, wizards, thieves.
And just brutally honest high school drama, all set at a real place, Swansea High School.
Exactly.
So our mission today is to unpack that. We're going beyond the plot to look at the personal biography that's just baked into every single character.
Right. We'll trace the story across its two series and then dig into the really controversial reason it all came crashing down.
And the creator, Jordan Miller, is key to all of this. He has autism, and our sources show he was really struggling when he created the show.
He said it was a mechanism to keep his mind in the right track. So it's not just inspired by his life.
No, it pretty much is his life.
An autobiography with wizards.
Mm.
And that's what makes this whole story so compelling.
It is, and it was a success. He made 2 full series. Series 1, The Return of Friends, and then Series 2, The Senior Year. But the more you look at who these characters actually are,
the more you see the tension in his real life.
Absolutely.
So let's start with that central relationship, because it really drives everything. Jordan's own avatar in the show, his character, was named Butters.
Which is funny. I mean, that's a South Park character he liked.
Right. And Butters' whole mission at first is about reconnecting with his friends.
Which mirrored Jordan's own feelings. And the friend he focuses on most is Cody, the main protagonist. He's this super powerful wizard, the undisputed king of the group.
But the real story is who Cody was based on.
Yeah. Cody was based on Jordan's ex-boyfriend, a guy named Colin Montgomery.
And when he started the show, the sources say he really missed Colin.
The whole thing was a way to sort of process that breakup.
But that's not where the story stays, is it? Because the source material has this update.
A major update, yeah. Jordan now says he wishes he had never even met Colin, calling him. Well, such a asshole. Wow.
And you can feel that whiplash in the show's story.
So Butters is constantly trying to marry Cody. That longing is still there on the surface.
But then you get this huge twist late in the second series, season 6. It's revealed that Butters never really loved Cody.
He only wanted him for his powers.
Exactly. A total betrayal.
Which, if Butters is Jordan's avatar, that's an incredible piece of self-reflection. Or maybe self-sabotage.
It's hard to say. And this use of real people, it extends everywhere. Even Laura, who's Cody's stepmom and aunt.
A bit of a complicated family tree there.
A little bit. She was based on an old friend Jordan knew from vocational rehabilitation.
A place for people with disabilities. So he's pulling from every corner of his life.
Every single corner.
Okay, so let's get into the main group, the Whiz Kids faction. Because this is where the fantasy roles meet some very raw personality traits.
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting. He uses these classic fantasy roles, but fills them with, like, very specific, very real anxieties.
Starting with Cody. He's the king, the leader, a powerful wizard, but he's also specifically noted as having autism, which immediately grounds this high fantasy hero in a much more personal reality.
Then you have AJ. He's the youngest, the paladin,
Yeah.
the healer.
And his personality is, well, he's funny and he watches Arthur and other PBS kids shows.
A very specific detail for a heroic healer.
It is. But then you get to Clara, the archer, and this is where Jordan's unfiltered view of people really comes through.
The notes on her are pretty intense.
They're startlingly blunt. He says she gets triggered very easily and then just flat out calls her a bossy bitch who is controlling.
Wow. So this isn't an interpretation. This is just his direct opinion written down as a character description.
Exactly. It's like reading his private journal.
And the rest of the group.
It follows that same pattern. You have Julian, the thief. He's always got a dagger, steals good items, and is desperately trying to be the cool kid.
To impress Clara, right? She's his crush.
Yeah, and they do eventually get together later in the series.
And then there were two characters named Hunter.
Right. Hunter Poole, he's the hacker boy, the tech wizard. Very quiet, keeps to himself, always in a hood and headphones.
A classic archetype.
And then Hunter Dowd, who is referred to as the Indian member, he's positioned as the wise one, the guy who does things the old-fashioned way.
So it's a very eclectic mix. Magic, tech, and just raw high school social dynamic.
Pretty much.
Now, if the kids were his social circle, the adult characters seem to be where he processed all the intense family drama he saw around him.
Oh, the adult subplots are staggering. I mean, they could be their own show. You take Laura, Cody's stepmom.
Right, who's also the sister of Cody's real mom, Mandy Sexton.
And in the second series, a whole season arc is dedicated to her infertility struggles.
Which is such a deeply personal adult theme for a show like this.
And it ends with her having a baby via a surrogate. The show it didn't shy away from anything.
Her husband's story is also incredibly complex. Postman James.
Yeah, Cody's stressed out stepfather. He has this immense responsibility of caring for a group of disabled people.
A group the creator refers to with the very jarring phrase, the dumb people crew.
It is jarring, and James considers them his own kids, but the show makes it clear how much stress he's under.
It's just layer upon layer of real-world hardship.
And even the side characters have these incredibly detailed, tragic backstories. Like David, Laura's wingman.
He's hardworking, protective.
And we learn he once adopted 8 kids, but then had to give them all back to the original caregiver because of complications.
That is an extraordinary amount of detail for a supporting role.
It is. And then you have the really weird stuff.
Like Liam, Laura's ex-boyfriend.
Her persistent ex. He's a trans woman who became male and just had surgery, and he's constantly trying to get back with her.
And she's just annoyed by it all.
Completely. And then there's Patrick.
Oh, Patrick.
Who makes out with a doll that looks like his dead girlfriend Fiona. And it just annoys everyone else.
It sounds less like a high school show and more like a case study of trauma.
A very, very specific one. And don't forget Meadow, Cody's older sister.
The boss.
Whose main character trait is that she's obsessed with the musician Jelly Roll.
And she even does an impression of him.
It's like he was updating the show in real time, like a diary.
So all of this material, all these intense personal stories led to 2 successful series.
But then the tone started to change.
Right. Towards the end of series 2, the senior year, around season 7, the sources say the episodes started getting riskier.
More sexual jokes, more provocative content. It was pushing the envelope.
And that leads directly to the show's downfall. It all comes to a head with 1 episode.
Season 7, episode 2, it was called King Smooth Cheek's House Party.
And it was described as an X-rated video.
Yeah, it showed the dumb people crew throwing let's say, a very nasty party at Laura's house.
This was the moment the line was crossed.
Absolutely. The show wasn't canceled because of ratings or anything like that. It was canceled because Jordan was sued.
Sued by a boy named Chandler Richburg.
Who had been shown that controversial video.
And the lawsuit just stopped everything, dead in its tracks.
It's such an abrupt end, and what's really sad is what was lost. The potential.
He was planning a finale, wasn't he?
A huge one. A graduation episode, maybe even a movie. It was going to be this big celebratory event.
The sources mention an outdoor setting, a homemade stage, music.
It was meant to be the beautiful, triumphant conclusion to this whole personal journey he documented.
But it never happened.
Never happened. All because of the lawsuit over that 1 episode.
So we've done this deep dive into the sources for the WizKids documentary. And what you find is this. This really profound story about creative boundaries.
Right. The show was built on his struggle, his unfiltered view of the world. And that's what made it a
But it's
success.
also what destroyed it.
Yeah.
So you now have the full context, a successful series that used real people as blueprints.
Only to be shut down completely by a legal backlash from one creative choice that just went too far.
It leaves you with a really challenging thought, doesn't it?
It does. It connects the show's therapeutic start to its catastrophic end. So here's something to think about. The creator planned this beautiful celebratory graduation movie, but it was canceled because of an incident involving one controversial episode. What responsibility does a creator have to protect the real-life people who inspire them, especially when their art becomes public and provocative? And what's the true cost when legal action stops the intended, heartfelt conclusion of such a deeply personal story? Something to mull over until our next deep dive.